Rain fell softly on the rooftop of Robert's mansion, but inside the atmosphere was cold and tense. Robert, a man of immense wealth, stood by a large window staring into the distance, lost in thought. He owned companies, cars, and properties, yet he felt like a stranger in his own home. His wife Linda only smiled when money was involved. His daughter Sophie spent her time flaunting their riches online. Only his son David stayed close, quietly observing his father with genuine concern. That evening, the family sat at the dinner table. Linda ignored him, Sophie giggled at her phone, and David was the only one who asked, "Dad, are you okay?" Robert gave a weak smile. "I'm fine, son." But he wasn't. He was tired of being used for money, tired of the emptiness in his home. That night he called his assistant, Mike. "Transfer everything to the private account. Shut down the companies. Let everyone believe I'm broke. No one must know I'm still rich," he instructed. Mike was stunned. "Sir, are you sure? This will shake the family." "That's the plan. I want to test their love." The next morning, Robert gathered his family. "We've lost everything," he announced. Linda shrieked. Sophie screamed, refusing to believe it. Only David asked quietly, "Are you serious, Dad?" "Yes. We leave for my father's village house today." Linda exploded in anger. Sophie cried out. David remained by his father's side. That evening, they packed and left in an old car at the mansion behind them. The road was rough, and Linda and Sophie complained throughout the journey. David held his father's hand and watched him silently. They arrived at the village, a small compound with a mud brick house and an iron roof. Linda stepped out, disgusted. "Robert, are we supposed to live here?" Sophie covered her nose. "This place stinks." Inside, the house had 2 plastic chairs and cobwebs in every corner. Linda refused to enter. Sophie ranted. Only David helped carry bags inside. Later that evening, Robert struggled to light a fire to boil water. David helped him patiently. "I watched the village boys do this," he said. "Thank you, son. You're making this easier for me," Robert said, a tear slipping down his cheek. Linda sat outside, mourning her broken nails and lack of cream. Sophie tried to catch a phone signal. They all slept on one mattress in the dimly lit room, mosquitoes buzzing. Linda cursed, Sophie turned and tossed, while David whispered, "We'll make it, Dad." Robert, in the dark for the first time in years, felt a real connection. Not to his wife or daughter, but to his son. The rooster crowed at dawn, rousing the small household from restless sleep. Linda groaned and slapped her arm. "What kind of crazy bird is that? Screaming in my ear this early?" Robert stood up and stretched. "It's morning. Time to start our new life." Sophie emerged, wig half off, covered in mosquito bites. "I can't do this, Dad. I need to go back to the city. I feel sick." Robert ignored the complaints and picked up a rusty hoe from the corner. "If we're going to eat, we need to start farming." Linda burst into laughter. "Did I hear you say farm? You want me, Linda, to go to the farm? God forbid." "Me? Hold that thing." Sophie folded her arms. "I'd rather die." David stepped forward and took the hoe. "Let's go, Dad. I'll go with you." Robert smiled, pride hiding tears. "Let's go, son." Under the hot sun, father and son worked the rocky land. Sweat poured down their faces. "We'll plant cassava here and maize over there," David said. "Smart boy," Robert nodded. "You're learning fast." Meanwhile, Linda sat under a mango tree, fanning herself with a palm leaf. "This is punishment, not life," she muttered. Sophie passed, makeup faded, carrying a plastic bucket. "Mommy," she whispered, "we need to do something. I'm turning dark." Linda glanced at a nearby compound where a rotund man in fine native wear and gold chains was being fawned over by 2 young women. He was the village chief, Chief Martin. Linda's eyes lit up. "He looks rich," she said. "Is that how village chiefs look?" "He's shining," Sophie whispered. Linda adjusted her wrapper. "I'm going to greet him. Sometimes when a door closes, a window opens, maybe with AC." She approached Chief Martin with practiced elegance. "Good morning, sir." Well, who do we have here?" "You're not from around here, are you?" "We just moved in," she said sweetly. "My husband lost everything in the city." Chief Martin chuckled. "A fine woman like you shouldn't suffer. Sit with me." She joined him under a shaded hut, soon sipping a cold drink and laughing. Back at the farm, Robert wiped sweat from his brow. "This land is tough, but we'll manage." "We will," David said, digging beside him. Hours later, they returned to find Linda unusually cheerful. "Where are you coming from?" Robert asked. "Just walked around." Met some women. They showed me where to wash clothes. Robert raised a brow. You washed clothes? David noticed her hands. No sign of soap. Her wrapper smelled like perfume. He said nothing. That night, Sophie snuck out to a local bar, met Mr. Brooks, a married shop owner. You're too pretty to be alone, he said. My foolish dad dragged us here, Sophie sighed. Let me make life easy for you, Mr. Brooks whispered. And with that, Sophie began her own secret journey. Back home, Robert and David sat under the moonlight. Do you think we'll go back to the city? David asked. Maybe. But only after I know who truly deserves it, Robert said. David didn't understand. But he would in time. Each new day in the village seemed worse for Linda and Sophie. By the third day, the sun felt like fire, the water was always warm, and the meals were nothing like their lavish past. There were no housekeepers, no fans, no beauty salons, only chores, dust, and complaints. Linda sat beneath a mango tree using a leaf fan, her expression bitter. This isn't life, it's punishment. Sophie shuffled past in mismatched slippers, a small bucket in hand. Her once flawless hair was now dull and messy. Mom, we need a plan. I can't cope. My skin is changing. Linda's eyes trailed over to Chief Martin, who was leaving a nearby compound. He wore a bold, gold chain and an expensive wrapper. Two young girls walked behind him, carrying his cane and bags. Linda smirked. That man is the key. Sophie raised an eyebrow. Isn't that the village chief? He's loaded. Linda stood up and straightened her wrapper. I'm going to greet him again. What are you planning? Sophie asked. Let's just say, I'm exploring options. She walked confidently to Chief Martin's hut. Good afternoon, sir, she cooed. The beautiful city woman returns. He grinned. We're really suffering here, Chief. My husband has lost everything. A beauty like you shouldn't suffer, he said. Come sit. Let's talk. Within minutes, Linda was laughing and sipping cold malt again. At the same time, Robert and David were digging on the farm. Robert looked at the sun, sweat dripping down his chin. This is hard, son. But we're stronger for it, David replied. Later that evening, they returned home to find Linda already cooking with fresh meat and oil. Where did this come from? Robert asked, puzzled. A generous woman at the market, Linda answered quickly. David eyed her, noticing her wrapper still smelled like perfume. That night, Linda and Sophie whispered and giggled in the dark. He said he wants to marry me, Linda whispered. Sophie's eyes widened. Chief Martin? Yes. He has land, gold, shops. He's powerful. He even said I'd be queen when the current king dies. Queen Linda, Sophie giggled. Maybe I'll find my own sugar daddy too. Outside, Robert sat with David under the stars. Some things are becoming clearer, son. David nodded. I just want us to be happy again, Dad. We will, Robert said. But only with those who stay loyal. The next morning brought more tension. Robert caught Sophie outside the house dressed in a shiny gown and scrolling her phone. Sophie, he said softly. Where are you going? Out, she replied, not meeting his eyes. Robert sighed. Moments later, a woman stormed into the compound, Mrs. Brooks, furious and shouting. Where is that shameless girl sleeping with my husband? Sophie rolled her eyes. You again? Control your man, not me. Mrs. Brooks exploded. I've been married 18 years. You'll destroy my home. He came to me, lady, Sophie retorted. They argued. Harsh words flew. Just as Mrs. Brooks left in tears, Robert stepped out, having heard it all. Sophie, he called. Is this true? Are you with that woman's husband? So what if I am? She replied coldly. This is wrong, Robert said. You're better than this. You ruined our lives, she snapped. Don't talk to me about right and wrong. She stormed inside. Robert stood devastated. From the doorway, David watched in silence, his heart heavy for his father. The cool morning air did little to calm the storm brewing inside the small house. David stood quietly by the door, watching his mother dress in her best wrapper, bright earrings sparkling, red lipstick carefully applied. Mother, he said, voice steady, can I talk to you? Linda turned, sighing. If it's about my life, save it. This life you're choosing, people are talking. Linda chuckled dryly. Let them. Talking is free. It's not just talk. It's about dignity. What happened to you? She died when your father dragged us into this hell. He's still your husband. He used to be. Now he's just a poor man. So love ends with money? Who eats love? Who wears it? He may be down now, but that doesn't mean he'll stay down. You're dreaming, David. No, I believe in him. And when he rises again, you'll regret this. Let's see. I'm building my own house. I'll soon leave. What has Chief Martin given you that Dad didn't? Peace of mind. He gives you pocket change. You left mansions for that. Linda glared. Watch your mouth. I'm saying this because I still believe you can change. Your father is finished. No, he's not. And when the truth comes out, you'll see. She turned and left, leaving David standing in silence, tears threatening. The sun was high when Robert and David reached the city, the noise and speed a stark contrast to the quiet of village life. David looked around, confused. Where are we going, Dad? Robert only smiled and kept walking. They soon stopped in front of a large mansion with a high gate and sleek cars parked in the driveway. David blinked. Dad, is this where you work now? No, Robert said, pulling out a remote. He pressed a button and the gate opened. Come, he said, walking inside. David followed, stunned. The mansion was grand, even more luxurious than their old one. Inside, everything gleamed, marble floors, tall ceilings, elegant furniture. David turned to his father in shock. Is this ours? Robert nodded. Yes, this is our home. But how? I thought we were broke. Robert placed a hand on his son's shoulder. We were never broke. I sold everything temporarily to test our family, to see who stayed and who left when the comfort disappeared. David stood still, absorbing the truth. Mom and Sophie, they made their choices, Robert said. They were given every opportunity to stand by us. David nodded slowly. You never stopped being rich. You just wanted to find what really mattered. Exactly, Robert said, his voice quiet. And you passed the test. Back in the village, Linda and Sophie lounged outside the hut, fanning themselves lazily. A familiar face walked up the road, Eddie, a man known for gossip. He waved a rolled-up newspaper excitedly. Good day, Linda. Sophie. You won't believe what I saw in the city. Linda rolled her eyes. If it's not money you're bringing, save it. Your husband, Robert, he's rich again. Mansion, cars, everything. I saw it with my own eyes. Sophie scoffed. That old man? Maybe he's a driver for someone rich. No, he owns it. People said so. He even had the remote for the gate. Linda burst into laughter. Then I'm the Queen of England. He's a finished man. Eddie shook his head. I thought you'd want to know. As he walked away, Linda and Sophie sat smugly. Don't mind that talkative man, Linda said. Anyway, the chief said I'll move into the palace soon. And my guy promised to take me shopping next week, Sophie added. They laughed and leaned back in their chairs, dreaming of empty glories. Meanwhile, in their new mansion, Robert and David prepared dinner together in a bright kitchen filled with warmth, not from money but from trust and love. Are you happy, Dad? David asked. Robert smiled. I am now, because I know what family really means. And I know who's worth building a future with. They sat down at the table, not just as father and son but as partners in a new beginning.